Welcome back, my friend. How can I be of service?
Care for a round of Gwent?
Hey there guys, today I want to have a look at the new Gwent, which is called Gwent Homecoming, a card game that I have been playing for a couple of years now. The new update also provided a single player adventure called Thronebreaker. Normally you would expect a Guild Wars 2 video, but no worries, I got something in the works. I had my first encounter with Gwent through the Witcher games, and that eventually led to the standalone game that we have right now. In this video I want to share my impressions on Gwent Homecoming, which completely changed the fundamentals of the game. Also, I want to have a look at some important mechanics that have been changed since the original Gwent. To understand the changes that came with Homecoming, we want to go way back to The Witcher 3, and therefore I want to start this video with a short look at the evolution of Gwent. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe, and if you like this video, give it a like, a comment, and make sure to share it. Okay, let's dig into the video. Gwent was first playable in The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt. This game was released in May of 2015, and according to some it is one of the best games of the last couple of years. In The Witcher 3, almost every bartender, some armor smiths, and even some main characters had a dialogue option to play a game of Gwent. Gwent in The Witcher 3 consisted out of a board with 3 rows on either side. That's 6 rows in total. You, the player, had a melee row, a ranged row, and a siege row. Your opponent, the NPC, had the same rows. As you might have guessed or might have known, melee cards can be put on the melee row, ranged cards can be put on the ranged row, and siege cards can be put on the siege row. Next to that there were also control cards, which allowed you to damage and reduce the score of your opponent, and next to that there were also spy cards that gave your opponent a few extra points to their score, but gave you an extra card or another beneficial effect. All these different cards were divided into gold, silver, and bronze rarities. Gold cards and gold units were immune to negative effects, while silver and bronze cards could be damaged or removed from the board. The standalone version of Gwent basically copied this concept of Gwent but had better graphics and new updated cards. This version of Gwent was first playable in 2016 at Gamescom in Germany. This was where I first played the game, and I was already kind of surprised with some of the changes. These were mostly positive though. Just one of many examples. Spy cards in The Witcher 3 gave your opponent 1 point, but in the beta version I've played, they gave your opponent 13 points. A considerable difference, I must say, but it made playing these cards a little bit more risky. You really had to think thoroughly before using these cards. Over the last 2 years, the beta version of Gwent underwent some more changes that played with the core gameplay mechanics of the game. While I personally did not like everything, most of the changes seemed fine to me. But just last week, Gwent Homecoming was released, which is basically Gwent 1.0. The game has left the beta phase after about 2 to 3 years. Gwent Homecoming is visually beautiful, but it has completely changed the game. I didn't play the new Gwent on the PTR servers because I wanted to experience it when it first came out. So I was kind of surprised to see the changes after playing it for a few hours. Let's have a look at the changes and the answer to the question, what is Gwent Homecoming? Gwent Homecoming is still the card game based on the Witcher universe. However, it is completely different than the classic version of Gwent that we've known since The Witcher 3. Luckily, the game provides a fun and interesting tutorial featuring Geralt of Rivia and our favorite bard from the Witcher series, Dandelion.
By a sudden terror. Dandelion spun round to identify the source of their fear, spotted his savior, and bellowed,
Geralt! Finally! You even realize how long you kept me waiting?
Nowhere near as long as I've waited to hear you say thank you. Saved your skin how many times now? What would you say?
Let's go over 3 of the changes that have caught my eye. If I missed anything, put it in the comments. The first change that caught my attention was the removal of the siege row. In the later changes of the Gwent standalone beta, rows weren't locked to specific cards or units, meaning that siege units could be placed on every row and vice versa. Removing one row means a smaller playing field, and you have to be very thoughtful about the placement of your cards and units. The second change that caught my attention were the card changes. If I had to make an estimate, I'd say that 80 to 90% of the cards have changed in their purpose. This means that card combos or strategies from a few weeks prior are now obsolete. I was kind of bummed out about this because there were some interesting cards that allowed you to do some awesome combos. However, I feel that cards have been simplified. For experienced players, this might seem like a disappointment, but I think that deck crafting is a bit easier to get into for newer players. I think this also opens up a window to be more creative with your deck, and this will offer more build diversity. The third and the last change that caught my eye by were the graphics and the UI. Gwent looks different, but it also looks really cool. Instead of playing your cards on a board, you play them on a battlefield. Having played all of the Witcher games, this really gives me back the feeling of revisiting the games once more. However, I do feel that the board version was a little bit easier on the eyes. It was more relaxing to watch. Also, your faction leader card is no longer just a card. He's a living, breathing persona that accompanies you through the battle against your opponent. These were the 3 changes that caught my attention by just playing Gwent for the first couple of hours. But why did CD Projekt Red change the game in such a drastic way right before their release? In an open letter on their website, the Gwent devs stated that the current version of Gwent was drifting away from their vision they had for the game. They have also stated that they have always taken risks and made bold decisions to improve the quality of their games. But I can't help but wonder, why leave a game in the beta phase for over 2 years and then change the whole game upon release? It is a bold decision and a risk, so in that regard they are fulfilling the statement they have made in their open letter. However, in this open letter, the developers did listen to community feedback. For example, the coin flip mechanic, which decided who would play the first card, was changed and fixed. The developers also reduced some RNG-based mechanics. This way, the core focus would be on skill and not just RNG. But maybe most importantly, they wanted to bring back The Witcher. The beta version of Gwent had bright colors, while Gwent Homecoming looked a little bit more grim, just like The Witcher does. I'll provide a full link to this open letter in the video description. So that was my video on Gwent Homecoming. I know it was something different, but I felt like summarizing the new Gwent and making a video about it. I might even pick up the Thronebreaker adventure later on, but for now I'm going to play a little bit more of Gwent Homecoming. Although this video was different, I hope you guys enjoyed this video nonetheless. As usual, don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video, it is very much appreciated. Thank you all for watching and peace!